Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Elevating Your Life. Thank you for joining us today. I have an absolutely fantastic guest to share with you today. Today, we have with us Faust Ruggiero. He is the award-winning author of the Fix Yourself Empowerment Series and the new and coming handbook, the Fix Your Internal Language Handbook. It is absolutely fantastic. Faust is a psychologist who has been in private practice for over 35 years before entering private practice. He worked in clinics for deaf children, prisons, nursing homes, substance abuse centers, inpatient facilities, and is a consultant for a major national and international corporation. He is a published research author and a professional clinical trainer. In the summer of 2016, he began to develop the Fix Yourself Empowerment Series based on the Process Life program to help readers address difficult situations in their lives. The series currently includes the Fix Yourself Handbook, the Fix Your Anxiety Handbook, the Fix Your Depression Handbook, and the Fix Your Anger Handbook. First off, Faust, thank you for joining us. I'm really honored.
Oh, Paul, I'm the one that's honored. It's so nice to be here with you today.
Thank you so much. If you'd like to share any further background or kind of what triggered you to write this amazing series, feel free to do that.
Well, it's been a long career. I'm still doing it. I'm still counseling people. But as far as the writing, it got to be you get to the point where you say, well, I want to get that message out to a few more people. So way back in 2019, we started with book number one. We're on book number six with seventh in development. And it's fun. I'm able to see a lot of people, hear from a lot of people in terms of what they're reading and how it's helping them. That's all nice when you get that kind of feedback.
Yes, yes. And so much in your books is just, I mean, it's applying to all of us. It's like, wow, yes, that that is me. I do that, or sometimes I think that way. Something in your book, you say, most of us spend more time talking to ourselves than to anyone else. Kind of the internal dialogue. That really fascinates me. Share a bit about that, please.
Well, all of us think, if we're alive and our brains are working in good order, we think and we think with language. So, we can talk to people all day long, but a lot of time is spent where we think. And I'm not talking about going home and you're in deep thought or meditating or something. I'm just talking about you're driving your car. You're at work, you're home doing things, you're thinking, and that's all done with language. And sometimes it's just a thought, sometimes it's a conversation, and we do have conversations with ourselves.
So clarify that a bit. I mean, is it the going back and forth? Oh, I wish I had done this like this. How should I handle tomorrow? What is that like for us? And is that a good thing? Or should we focus on something in particular with that?
Well, it depends on what we're experiencing in our lives. When we're saying, okay, I'm planning something. How should I do this better? Or I could have done that. Maybe I'll make some changes here. Those are good things. You're reviewing your day. You're actually planning to do some things better. It's the negative conversations that I'm always concerned about, where you're angry at someone, uh, or where a lot of your thinking is angry or you're playing out scenarios in your mind about what could happen and it probably will, it's going to happen to me, or you can't forget the past and that comes up and you're dealing with that, when there's no closure there. All those types of conversations create a kind of an internal persona, if you will. It's the way we typically are every day. So if we're going to be talking to ourselves, my goal is to help people to be more positive in that, be more loving, if you will, be more gentle with themselves and not be beating themselves up with negative dialogue.
So, what might a first step be to help us get ourselves out of that continual negative dialogue?
The first thing I tell people is that you have to define the fact that you're doing it, and when I say to people, hey, you talk to yourself, and I'll just joke with them. They'll say, I do not. And everyone does. And no, I don't. Because the assumption is if I talk to myself, well, I have a mental health problem or I'm crazy or something's going on, And, I said, no, we talk with language. But what I ask them to do is monitor what's going on. If what's going on in your brain is negative, do you want it to stay that way? Now, we all have challenging circumstances in our lives. We have them all the time. And we can talk about how you want to deal with that and be gentle, as I said, and loving and have a plan and move through it, or we can get stuck in it. And now we're going through negative feelings and negative dialogue. And in some cases, we actually will talk to that other person we're so angry at in our mind, and
Mhm.
we have the conversation, which of course none of us do, So, when you do that, you'll note that it becomes exhausting if the conversation keeps on going, and you're really using up a lot of energy that could be used for other things.
Ah, yes, so true, so true. And can, perceptions that we have on something that aren't really reality, how does that play into it?
Well, that's where we're talking about our emotions. And it's interesting that you say that. I just sent my publicist an article that he's going to be pitching this week, and that's what it's about, reality versus perception and how it affects internal dialogue. There are the facts, and then there are our perception of the facts, and those are usually colored by our emotions. And I tell people when I'm counseling them, if something happens and someone says something or someone does something, and you immediately react with either hostility or anger or fear, or one of those negative attributes, you're probably going to follow through that with your thought. It doesn't just stop. So, that first 2 or 3 seconds, if you can take a step back and say, all right, that happened. What do I want to do with this? Now, what you've already done is you've gotten your brain in the picture. It's trying to get a plan, and you're reducing your emotions because you're trying to do something positive. So it's internal reactions that are so important. And again, if you are an emotional person, if you feel yourself getting emotional a lot of the time, your internal dialogue is probably going to reflect that. And the problem is, as that develops, then we have a tendency to turn that outward also. If that's what we're thinking and we train our brain in that way of doing things, well, then the possibility of it becoming an outward behavior, can significantly increase.
So, how do we get our balance back by maybe taking our attention away from that and giving our attention to something that's positive
You
or
are
that's
real close in
grateful
what you're
for?
saying. Again, the first thing we have to say is, okay, I do this. We don't fix anything until we admit it. We all know that. If someone says to me, "Well, you do this," and I say, "No, I don't," well, any possibility of me examining it and coming up with a plan is just going out the window. So once we say, "Yeah, I do that," you don't have to admit that to the world. You're just admitting this to yourself. Then there's what I call a three-step process, but understand it's a training process. If you've gone negative, you've trained your brain to go negative. Let's train it to go positive. So the first thing you do is just what you said. Okay, wait a minute. Stop. I am not going to think about this. Now I'm going to select another topic, something else I like to think about, and I'm going to develop that train of thought. I will guarantee you the negative thought keeps coming back. It's stronger right now. There's more energy. We know how to give it more energy, as it does every time you stop it. You think about something else, you develop that thought. What you're doing is training your brain. That's all you're doing. It's a training program.
Yes.
You train your brain to do it a different way. And people say, it's so hard. I say, yeah, it's hard now, but the proof that you can train your brain is that you trained it to go negative before. So
Mhm.
there's your proof. So if you did it that way, you can if you reverse the type of thinking involved, that whole process, and do what I'm asking you to do, you will eventually see some gains. You know what? I'm not thinking that way. The other thing, it's a very important to note is that negative internal dialogue is what I call autopilot thinking. It just starts. You don't even know it. But the power of the change is that it's conscious thought. Conscious thought is more powerful than unconscious thought because we can control it and we can direct as much energy to it as we want to. So if you apply conscious thought, positive thought to what you're doing and keep doing it, it works. And things, you'll reduce your negative dialogue. That's the whole goal of this.
And that's actually really exciting and empowering to know that we have that choice to make that change that control. And would you say with that, we can also, it can help us manage depression?
Depression,
Because,
anxiety, all
yeah.
those things. You know, again, if you're doing this all the time, you're in negative thought. It's such a depressing, dark way to live, and it brings in the anxiety because as you go into that negative stuff, the pressure builds and it keeps on building and you don't have any way out. And some people get to the point that the negative dialogue makes them think that they're powerful, in that in their mind they're getting back at someone else. They're settling some situation. But in reality, nothing got settled, and you're doomed to start that process all over again.
So, Faust, where does just being worried, where does worry come into this? Because,
Worry is really what happens to us when we don't have a plan. We focus on the problem. If something happens in our lives and all we do is focus on that and we think about it over and over, and there's no plan to move beyond it, we will continue uh, to apply negative energy to that, to obsess on it. And when we start to obsess on it, we get worried, and then we feel we're stuck in it. And that's where when I counsel people, and even in the books I write, I say, you need a plan. I even have in the first book, I even have a whole chapter dedicated just to making plans and telling people how to do it, how to set goals. Long-term goals, short-term goals. Put your action steps in there so you know how to make everything come to fruition. When we have those and we become good at it, all of a sudden the worry goes down. Negative thinking goes down too because we become goal-oriented people. Goal-oriented people tend to be more positive thinkers than the people who sit back and ruminate.
oh, I love that. I love that. And you just mentioned the word ruminate. What
Hmm.
is rumination?
That's just going over the same thought over and over again.
Wow.
If uh, I'm worried about finances, and instead of getting a plan together, maybe it includes a part-time job or doing something to get a raise at work or something like that. Cutting down on expenses, whatever it may be. Instead of doing that, I just worry. Oh, how am I going to make this? The mortgage is going to come, the bills, rather than say, okay, let me stop and get a plan. Maybe I have to see a financial advisor. Maybe I want to sit down with my accountant or whoever it may be and say, let's look at all these things I have. Maybe I need to get a debt consolidation person, whatever it is. What is the plan to move past that financial problem? When we do that, what happens is we take our brain off rumination and now we go into action mode. When we go into action mode, we can see things begin to change, and our dialogue has to be applied to that rather than to the fear that we have coming from rumination.
Yes. And something, you have some awesome quotes on your website, Foss, wonderful. And one of those that I loved is every day holds in it opportunities to make changes in your life. Let go of yesterday, embrace today, and change your life.
Well, the thing about yesterday is it's done. It's over. when we keep thinking about it, we take something in our life that has no life and we reapply life to it because we're giving it energy. So now it comes up and it affects us again. So I'm not telling people just forget about it, but I'm saying do what you need to do, have a plan to deal with that so it doesn't come forward. Now get your mind in your moment and live there. If things keep coming up, that undercurrent of negativity, and you can't stop it, go talk to someone. Say, "Hey, I'm really having a problem with this. I can't stop this. This traumatized me years ago. I was abused or hurt or whatever may have happened." Go get help so that can be taken off your plate.
Yes, because it can be so easy to carry those things with us. What happened
Absolutely.
yesterday? It's almost like an anchor.
hmm it really makes it difficult to move forward because the energy is being directed backward.
Hmm.
And again, we need as much energy as we can muster up to deal with today. That's where we make our plans. That's where we execute our plans. That's where we measure them and see how we're doing and where changes have to be made. And that's where we have to respond to new things that may happen. So if we're using even 20% of our energy for something in the past, that's a lot gone and a lot that's no longer at our disposal.
Oh, wow. That's a great point. Yeah, because that's taken a piece of our energy. And that energy could be moved forward. It could be in our goals. It could be in our steps of what I'm doing and, you know, what I'm
Exactly.
grateful for.
One of the ways people can measure how their thinking is working is whether or not they're getting exhausted, or they're getting tired, burnt out from it. There's, the connection between the brain and the body, the emotions and the body. And when the emotions kick in and we start going negative in our own minds, well, now we're using up a lot more energy and then we get tired. There's the old saying, an hour of really intense emotional energy is more it uses up more energy than 8 hours of physical energy. That emotional energy, because it's your nervous system, it goes right through your body and it uses up at a far more intense and a much faster pace. So again, if you're getting tired because of what you're thinking about,
Mhm.
it's a good indication that your language isn't so good. And if you can change that to positive, now what you're actually doing is supplying your nervous system with energy. That's what you want.
Oh, I love it. I mean, what a complete left and right, because it does, when we're worried about something and in the past, it does it. We lose our sleep. We can't focus, but we can turn it around. And that's really a wonderful thing to know.
We are dynamic individuals. We change, we adapt. The brain looks to adapt. It likes that. And if we give it the opportunity, our brain will do that. But if we stay stuck in the same thing over and over again, I mean, think about it. If I were loaded with negative energy today, and now here we are doing this interview, you probably would see it. You say, gee, he looks tired, or his thoughts aren't as clear as they should be. Instead, I have the opportunity to gather that positive energy and say, let's apply that to what we're doing and maybe give some people a bit of a roadmap to move ahead.
I love it. I love it. Another quote that you have on your website that I would love to share. The next time you find yourself looking for someone to be your hero, look in the mirror. Your hero is staring back at you. Embrace yourself. Talk about that a little bit, please.
You know, we like to look at heroes as whoever has the tinsel and the glitter, they're on stage and they're in the movies
Yeah,
and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
They're not heroes. That's a job they're performing. Uh, the hero is the person who has to get up every day and deal with a world that seems to be putting them down, and they say, "No, I'm going to do my best to rise above it, take care of myself, my family, whoever." Those are the ordinary people who get up and they're in the trenches every day and fight the battle. At the end of the day, you should be able to look at yourself and say, you know what? in my world and with everything and everyone I need to take care of, including me, I did the very best I could. I left nothing out there. If you can say that, be your hero, because that's what a hero is. A hero is one who faces the challenge and doesn't always win. That's the other thing. Heroes don't
Um,
always win. We just make sure we get up the next day and start the battle all over again.
yeah.
We don't give up. That's what a hero is.
So, yes, so knowing we're not always going to win, but keep going and still, because the wins are out there, but you're not always going to win. Is that correct?
That's correct. And be willing to give yourself a little pat on the back for a small victory. Life doesn't move forward. We don't make changes in great fashion. We make incremental little changes. If you said, you know what, today I really went out there, I did what I could, and I got a little bit of it. I pat yourself on the back, and tomorrow go do the same thing. And a year down the road, after you made over 300 little advances, you might just see some change in your life.
Yeah,
Just get in the game every day. Never give up. And that's what we're talking about with internal language. Stop the negative dialogue. Pick something new. Develop that. Keep it going. Never stop. Do that every day. The hardest battle we're all going to fight is the one inside ourselves, not some adversary out there.
yeah. And that is a great point, Faust, because we can, kick ourselves that, oh, I made this mistake or I did this wrong, when there are things we're doing right, things we're motivated for and doing, and we can forget to give ourselves that love and gratitude for how awesome we are.
You know what? We have a tendency to compare ourselves to what we believe is successful and happy, not knowing who those other people are and what's going on in their lives. And we see all that shimmer out there. We say, why can't I? And they have this so much better than me. And I tell people all the time, the moment you compare yourself to another person, you will come up with less. So what you're really doing is a very self-defeatist way to do things. Compare yourself to no one unless those people are very positive thinkers and they're spreading the love, if you will. Then look at that, but you don't have to compare. Just say, oh, I like that, what they're doing. I can do that. I can be that kind of person. And then go do it. Go try. Take a
Yes.
step.
And, they can take that step, they can go do it, and they can know that they're also making a difference for others around them. And it might help them take that first step.
Exactly. If we're positive in our minds, we bring that positivity to the world. And the person and the people we're with receive that, and then they want to give it back. So that's how we start this process. But right now we have to be concerned with training our own brains to be positive and to be thinkers with goals and the ability to stop what doesn't work and define what does. And if you, again, for the listeners, if you're having a little trouble with this, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. By all means, do that. You're not going to need it forever. Sometimes we just need to have someone help us kind of jumpstart us, and then we're ready to go.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Please share with everyone your website and what they can learn about you on that, and, you know, all the things you're doing.
Sure. My website is my name, faustruggiero.com. On there, you'll find everything about me. You'll find excerpts from all the books. I think it's important to be able to show people what I'm writing about. And if they like it, then they can buy it. And if they don't, that's up to them. Media appearances are there. So you can really see a lot about me and know who I am. And if you're interested in contacting me, there is a contact link, and I do get back to people.
That is so awesome. That is so awesome. I am just so grateful for all that you're doing and your amazing books and your caring. We have about 3 minutes left in the show. Faust, what last message do you want to give everyone today? What do you want to leave us with this fantastic day?
It's kind of my favorite way to close a show is that I love people to know that Everything you need is already inside you. It's all there. You're not going to find it outside. You're not going to find it by following the crowd and attacking this one and attacking that one. Everything you need, all that positive energy is already inside you. You just have to learn how to access it and be able to use it. And be willing to have some faith in yourself. If you're a spiritual person, put God in your life, whatever, but go inside yourself and you'll find everything you need there. Learn how to develop it. If you don't, not sure, get a little help to get you started. But that's where you're going to find all your power right inside yourself.
Yes, yes. And with your series of books, each one kind of, um, has a certain little topic that they can look at. So, they can do that whole series and it's going to help in different ways, isn't it?
It is, Paula, when I just decided to write the books, I did, typical literature review, and I saw a lot of self-help books, and they were all giving great information. But what I thought was missing was the action steps. Okay, this is the problem we're dealing with. Here's the information. I like to write my chapters short and concise so people don't get bogged down with lots and lots of words. They can get the information in 7 or 8 pages, and then in every chapter at the end of the chapter, I say, now, since you've seen the information, do this. Here are the steps, just like we talked about with, stopping the thought and developing a new one. Just like that, every chapter on every subject says, do these things. Just like you were in a counseling session. That's the way
Mhm.
it's designed, and every book is designed that way.
Oh, that is so awesome. Thank you so much, Faust. And it's so wonderful to know that we have the ability, we have the power to change the negative thoughts and feelings and stress into the positive, and nobody can take that away from us.
They can't.
Ah, and and I do want to also throw in there, and we are loved, we are cared for. Yeah,
Well, it's a great point. You have to believe that you're worthy of a good life. If you're going to say to yourself, "Well, I'll never get it. I'm not worthy of it. Why do I even try?" Well, that's where you stop right there. Be willing to push past that thought and say, "You know what? I am worthy of it. I have work to do, but that's okay. It's my life. I should feel real good about getting up every day and giving me attention."
I am
So
worthy.
do that.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been so great. Everyone have a wonderful day. Love, hugs, and blessings. Faust, have a wonderful day. Love, hugs, and blessings.
Same to you, Paul. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.